I'd like to call to order the Ottawa City Commission regular meeting for Wednesday, June 1st, 2016. It is 7 p.m. and we would ask for the roll call, please.
Mayor Kayla.
Present.
Commissioner Reed.
Present.
Commissioner Graves.
Present.
Commissioner Jorgensen.
Present.
Commissioner Skidmore.
Present.
All commissioners are here and accounted for, and we do sincerely welcome those that are in the audience today. We have some special guests, and we're super excited that they are here, but also welcome those that may be listening on the radio or on our public access channel or in any different medium that you can be a part of the Ottawa City Commission. We welcome you for being a part of that. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation, and we'll start right there. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. In his letter to the church in Galatia, Paul writes that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Shall we pray? Lord God in heaven, we pray that this community will reside in your Spirit and in the fruit of the Spirit. Be in our midst, that we can be successful in what we do because we are in your Spirit. Be in this place to live. Let's pray these things this evening as this meeting goes on. Be in our midst. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
This moves us on to a part of the agenda which we call the consent agenda, and it includes minutes from the May 16th, May 18th regular meetings, May 18th special joint call city-county meeting, and the May 18th special call public meeting for Rock Creek Business Park. Is there a motion to approve this consent agenda?
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner?
I move that we approve the consent agenda, which includes this evening's agenda.
Is there a second?
I will second.
It's been motioned and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That moves us on to the next part of our agenda, which we consider the regular agenda, under public comments. Do we have anybody who is registered for public comments tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we will dispense from reading that paragraph. Next, we move on to declaration. At this time, I'd like to give commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they might have had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. Commissioners? Seeing none, we will move forward to new business.
Item 10, Let's Move Program Gold Medal Celebration.
Region 4, 5, 7, sorry, should have read that ahead of time. Not good with the Roman numerals there, obviously. Region 7, Department of Health and Human Services Rear Admiral Jose Bellardo is in attendance to help us celebrate the city's achievement of earning 5 gold medals in the Let's Move program. We are also in attendance with Ms. Sherry Mirador, who is with somebody who wants to get in on Let's Move. Did you hear that? I'm going to call her after this and let her know. She's already on the next committee. Who is with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So please come forward. We'd like to hear, along with Ms. Wendy Lee, who would like to tell us about the Let's Move program.
Well, good evening, everyone. It is truly an honor for me to be back here in Ottawa, Kansas. I think it was about 2 years ago we came here to promote our Let's Move program also. And so the Let's Move program is still going on very strong. We are promoting active living, healthier eating, We focus a lot on the schools, particular in our area, working with them, making sure that students have nutritional lunches and in some cases breakfast also. So we are very focused on those efforts. And so being back here in Ottawa, it was just, I think, 2 years ago, and it seems like it was yesterday, but it's great to come back to town. I thank all of you for your kindness and your hospitality while we're here. I wish we could stay a little bit longer, but my 2 kids are coming home from college tonight, and I'm heading back down to Kansas City. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of make a couple of highlights. So basically, in March of 2015, Ottawa was actually highlighted on the Let's Move national blog and they signed actually the Let's Move Child Care Provider Day proclamation, and it was a creative way to embrace Let's Move, making Ottawa the only, at that time, the only Let's Move city, town, county site in our region to be featured. So congratulations in that regard. So in April of 2016, Ottawa actually became the first Let's Move county, town, and graduate site in the state of Kansas. And then in July 2015, the Mayor Pro Tem, Linda Reed, was featured on our Kaboom website for playability, the extent to which a city makes it easy for all kids to get balance and active play. And so what's next for Ottawa? We think that Ottawa is an ideal site to transition to Let's Move cities, towns, and counties all-stars. Because we, in Region 7, we think of you here in Ottawa as all-stars. Like I said, the hospitality, everything that's been going on in the city, we've done our homework on Ottawa. And so you're a progressive town, and congratulations, definitely, in many areas. And so we invite you to continue to join us to promote active living, healthier living, eating that is, amongst your population here in Ottawa. So once again, we thank you for the opportunity to just give you a short description of Let's Move, and also promoting active living, healthier eating, which actually prevents heart disease and also makes us feel a lot better. A jog or run for me is like medicine to me, and so after I finish, I just feel like I'm just ready to go again. And so anyway, thank you once again. And Sherry, you would like to say a few words?
I would just like to say you guys are rock stars, so thank you for being one of those sites that was very easy to work with. I love the relationship that Wendy and I have had in terms of she never was scared to ask a question. So I can tell from her dedication and her inquiries that she was really wanting to push Let's Move. So I'm happy because when 2016 arrived, I said, you know, Ottawa, Kansas is going to become a graduate site. And they were the first in 2016 to do so, and also in Kansas. So congratulations, guys. You guys worked hard for it. Thank you.
That's exciting. I think Wendy now has a presentation for us that she wants to talk a little bit of deeper dig into Let's Move. Correct, Wendy?
Yes, I thought for the public's benefit and anybody who wasn't around when we first started, this might be helpful. I do want to say thank you to both Jose and Sherry for coming tonight. We were thrilled that they could come and celebrate a little bit with us, so that we don't just sort of take these kinds of things for granted. It takes a lot of people, a lot of different relationships to make something like this happen. So I'm going to do just a quick presentation. If you can't see it, we'll get the lights, I guess, anyway. That makes it, I think there's a light here for me, though. A second. No, I got to have at least one light, Matt, because I got notes, so
Do you want
give me one.
to come get this?
Yeah, maybe. You try it. That or I have to wing it all, and that's
can't
not
hurt
always
it.
a good thing. Okay, so what is Let's Move? We're going to tell you a little bit about that. And I know the mayor will recall this, but in fall of 2013, we were at a Playful City Summit, and we happened to be sitting next to some folks from the National League of Cities who at that time had already begun to partner. Thank you, that's even better. Can you take it back to had begun to partner on this. Because we were a Playful City recognized city, there was actually some advantage to us. And since the goals were very much in tune with what we were already as a community doing, we were very interested in this. So in November of 2013 is when we began. But as the Admiral said, this is about trying to make our community healthier, particularly for children. And you all are very supportive of that. So who all have we been working with? Well, obviously there's, the regular folks in the family and the community, but for this to have happened in 5 different areas, we also partnered with a number of local partners that you would expect. The hospital, the Recreation Commission, the early childhood providers, the library. I'm sure to be forgetting some, but a lot of our normal institutional partners, along with, in this case, a lot of partnership with early childhood providers. And the school. I'm sorry, that was the one I was missing. I'm missing a big one there. We're concerned about it because, as you know, our health factors weren't and aren't stellar, which is why we continue to be very interested in this program as well as the Playful City program from all kinds of aspects. But our physical health, and then in addition to that, we know our mental health can be improved as well. So the Let's Move movement was a call to the mayors at the time, to across the country to get more involved. And so that was something that, I don't know, Mayor Kaler, if you were mayor at the time, but I know that it was discussed at the commission a little, and then the city manager, Neinstedt, agreed that we would spend staff time on this. We've had a lot of intern help time, and then just me. It's just not a lot of people, but just enough people. Particularly it's because we had a lot of resources locally that we could partner with to achieve each of these categories. So just so that the community can know, the goals were start early, start smart, my plate, your place. I'm going to tell you a little about each one. Smart servings for students, model food service, and active kids at play. And with each one of these, there was a bronze, silver, and gold medal status. We have now achieved gold at all 5, but we actually had achievement markers for each of those as we went along. So, the very first goal has to do with start early, start smart. Interestingly enough, this was the last goal we achieved. Okay, so we didn't do them in a particular, start 1 through and then get down to 5. We did them as we could achieve them in whichever order they were. But the very last gold we got was actually in this category. In this one, we worked with Stella Tharp in particular, but the library, daycares, child cares, preschools in the community to make sure and promote the Let's Move things. And there were a number of resources that Let's Move has for those early childhood providers. Clearly, if we can impact what those children make in food choices and in their activity, we hope that it would be a life adoption behavior and not something they have to retrain themselves like many of us maybe had to do at a much later age. And so that early one is a very key medical care area. One of the things we did was promote through our website and others, and even the proclamation is one of those things. The most recent thing that occurred was a training opportunity so that some of those early childhood providers could get continuing education credits, which they need to continue their licensing, held right here of the Let's Move program. Goal 2 has to do with my plate, your place. And unfortunately, it's probably not going to be all that clear to you all, but here is the poster. And you've probably seen this, actually. If you've ever been in any of the schools, they have this up. But we put this up in all of our break rooms, anywhere that food's served, like the concession stands at the OMA. We worked with ORC to have it posted at the concession stands at the park. Those kinds of venues to make sure that things were displayed and people were reminded about the balance that they can choose through their plate. And so that was one of the things that we did. But we worked that and promoted up until we had all of our facilities and all of vending machines. We posted on vending machines, refrigerators, just as a good reminder throughout our organization and places that the city owns. Goal 3 has to do with smart servings for students, and this one really was working with both the school district to identify, because obviously that's a part of what they do for nutrition and wellness with the students in the school district, but also with ECAN, who's the provider of the summer food program. One of the things that came out of it that's still kind of a gap for us is when they're not providing a meal, there isn't one provided. And they don't provide all summer.
Right.
And so for some of our youth, that is still a gap in provision, and maybe at some point can be addressed through a partnership of a number of places. But nonetheless, they are doing what they can, and we have supported that and promoted that again. And at different times, city employees have even gone over and helped serve food. The goal 4 had to do with, again, dietary guidelines and model food service. In this case, one of the things that we did, at least in my department, was we supplemented how we order meals for when we have meetings. And instead of having heavy carbs in all parts of it, we would substitute fruit or a different vegetable. So we had kind of a internal adoption of a program that was what kinds of foods would we order when we ordered for meals. What we did as an organization was go look again at any relationships we had with vendors by contract. That's what this goal was for, to ensure that we were balancing those choices. But you all will have noted even over time what's provided for you at lunches or meals. Gloria does a great job of trying to make sure there's always some alternative. We asked that the Friday Forum, instead of just donuts, could they also provide fruit bars or other things that might provide an alternative to something that we might like the donuts, but there's not really much about them that's good for us, unfortunately. And then the last goal has to do with play and active kids at play. And this one, we actually had the gold medal from the beginning, because if you're a playful city, you get that. Now, that didn't mean that we quit working. Obviously, as you all know, we continue to do things with active play all of the time, including, last week, or week before last, our playability objectives. We are really grateful for the folks that we partnered with, and in particular, I'm grateful for both Pearl and Danielle, who've done a lot of the sign hanging, go back and check, because I'm a little OCD, I guess. I hung the first of those model plate signs, for example, but I knew that over time those things could go away. So every time we had to kind of resort it, every time we were put in a new medal, we'd go back and check, do we still have some of those things posted? I can't tell you today that 100% of them are posted, but we did a really good job with the help of those two young ladies in keeping up with our activities, getting our proclamations written, our publicity done, our things on Facebook and email, or the webpage. And I really am grateful to them for their work. Happy to answer any questions if any of you have any.
I just have a question. Yeah, the Region 7, what area, how large of an area is this? How many cities or?
It's a good question. So Region 7, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has broken out 10 regions throughout the country. And so our region is Region 7. And so Region 7 consists of the states of Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, and Nebraska. And so those are the states for Region 7.
Very good. Wow.
And is Kansas, or is the city of Ottawa the first in the state of Kansas, or the first in the region to be awarded all 5 gold medals?
The first in Kansas.
Okay,
So
perfect.
Ottawa, Kansas was the only site that has ever been mentioned on the national blog. That's out of the White
Region
House.
7.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. So you have 2 accolades.
Great, that's excellent.
We were actually really working in the last 6 months to try and get to be the first in Kansas, because there are a couple of other cities in Kansas who have several gold medals. But when we knew we only had 1 activity left, we just kept pushing, even though we were really waiting for the continuing ed credits. We thought that would help be more of an incentive. But I think once it's been done, once people again know the resource, we'll continue to have folks sign up and be interested in the early childhood portion of that.
Commissioners, do you have additional questions or accolades or anything that you'd like to give to our guests or to Mrs. Lee?
Yeah, this is just a wonderful program. I think we're fighting an uphill battle here with childhood obesity when we're looking at cable channels with 300 channels to choose from. When I grew up, we had 3 if the weather was good with the antenna on top. Never know what you'd get.
With the aluminum foil on it.
Yeah, there you go. Rabbit
You
ears.
had to walk to the TV to turn it to at least.
Well, yeah, that's right. Unless you get your little brother to do it for you. And then with the dollar menu, I think about, well, that's easy to get a quick fix, a quick meal, no fuss. And so I think with all those things working against us, it's going to take an extra effort on our part to do programs like what we're doing here. So I thank you for your participation, and Wendy, too, for keeping it in Ottawa healthy. Good job.
It appears as though that there are pieces of Let's Move really in everything we do here in the city of Ottawa, and I think it not only has Let's Move, but Play City both together have really been such a great partnership for our city, and so I appreciate you both being here, and I appreciate it so much I'm going to give you some playful things to take home with you. So if you could come forward, and I have a little bit of fun to give to both of you. Now, how many children are coming home from college?
2.
2, well, good. They'll both need to jump rope now.
Both in Kansas College.
Oh, good,
Southgate and
good.
Cable.
Oh, good. Jeff, will you be taking?
Yeah.
2, more than 2?
2.
All right, excellent. See, we knew exactly. A little bit of fun for both of you. Thank you both so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I may also want to mention that part of Let's Move, there is, and it's such a timely announcement to make, but there's a great movement to do some garden planting as a part of keeping yourself healthy. I know every year I let my children choose a vegetable and a fruit each that they want to try. We've tried strawberries for probably 10 years and still have yet to get a strawberry, but we will this year. I just know it. And so maybe something that every citizen could do. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to have a huge plot of land. You can have a pot and put a plant in there, and some kind of vegetable, and that can be your garden for the season. So I would encourage our citizens to certainly do that. I also noticed that they were doing a countdown to the Olympics, and I know that we have some really stellar athletes here in our community, and some athletes that I believe that probably we will see in the Olympics in the next few years, so certainly something that we keep our eye on. But I think we're taking small steps, and those are equally some giant leaps towards better nutrition. So
Madam Mayor, if I
Yes.
could, I was going to say this under comments, but it's perfect timing here. The county Healthy Communities is promoting the National Bike Challenge, which is nationalbikechallenge.org. Our goal is to have 50 people from Franklin County signed up and log their bike miles. So far, we have 19 people signed up. And the goal is 10,000 miles by the end of September. So nationalbikechallenge.org, if you just put in your information, it will automatically put you into the advocacy group for Franklin County. You can see how everybody else is doing. So.
I would venture to say that we could probably host some kind of celebration if we could reach that milestone.
Yeah. And
So
there's prizes along the way.
certainly something that we could do here at the City of Ottawa. So thank you for that reminder. It's always exciting to celebrate. So thank you again for being here. That's going to move us on to number 11 on our agenda.
Request for approval of agreement for Kansas Department of Transportation Aviation Airport Improvement Grant.
This agreement is for the installation of an above-ground Jet A fuel tank at the pump at Ottawa Municipal Airport. Mr. Hafley, do you have a report for us, please?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. As you may recall, this is something we sought after last year in anticipation of being able to have a more permanent fuel station for Jet A fuel out at the airport. Currently, we have a Jet A truck that we can't use, so now this becomes a little bit more urgent to stay in the Jet A fuel business. The agreement before you is for a grant to help fund this. I haven't yet got good numbers for what this is going to cost, but the grant is going to help get us on the path back in business for Jet A. So, unless subject to your questions.
Commissioners, are there questions for Mr. Hafley? Done? Yes, City Manager Neinstedt.
Michael, what was the engineer's estimate on the project?
The total engineer's estimate, thank you, Mr. Neinstedt. The engineer's total estimate on the project was $89,000.
Okay, and the grant will cover?
The grant will cover 85% of that. So 15% of that $89,000 is our responsibility, or the city's responsibility.
Mr. Byrd, it looks like Mr. Byrd was maybe had a comment?
Just backing up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a spot within our budget that we have, I guess it would be a Mr. Burke question, is there a spot within our budget that we could allocate that, or maybe Mr.
Yes.
Hinckley already knows?
Yes, we have funds available in the Special Streets Fund to help cover that.
Excellent. Excellent. Commissioners, any other questions of this particular request? If not, I will entertain a motion if there is one.
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion we approve item number 11 on our agenda.
Commissioner Skidmore makes the motion, and Commissioner Jorgensen seconds the motion. Is there any discussion among commissioners? I just might want to note that this is one in many steps, again, that we're taking to upgrade our airport and to bring it into, actually, not that it's not a state-of-the-art airport now, but certainly Jet A is going to put us exactly where we need to be and on the right road.
Exactly. You know, the addition of the AWAS that we put in, just recently finished, really helped propel us forward. Commercial pilots are now able to file a direct flight path to our airport. So a lot of those commercial pilots fly jets. So having jet fuel here is going to be a bonus for us. So.
Any other discussion among commissioners? If not, I would ask for a roll call vote, please.
How do you vote? Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Graves?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Kayler?
And I vote yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that moves us on to report by city manager.
Commissioners, I don't have too much for you tonight, except to tell you that I think the rain's done for a little while, okay? Mr. Hafley, I might point out to you that Mr. Hafley is also a member of the Kansas Army National Guard with over 30 years, and he is going to be leaving us for 2 weeks to do his obligation to the state and to this country, so for the next 2 weeks. So, he'll be here, but he won't be here. Okay, isn't that right?
That's right.
So, and I'd like Mr. Hafley to come back up and talk to you about, just kind of brief you and the public on where we're at with a little issue with the levy and the discussions he's had with the Corps of Engineers.
So after the water receded, surely everybody that's driven across the bridge or walked across the bridge on Main Street has seen a big washout area on what's referred to as the right bank. For some people, it's the south bank. As soon as the water receded, I believe it's Monday morning, I saw that, took a couple of pictures, and immediately sent that to a contact I had at the Corps of Engineers. He was real happy to hear from me on a holiday. But I thought it was a big enough issue that I needed to bug somebody on a holiday. Today, two of the folks that work with the Corps of Engineers came out and looked at that area, took some measurements, and went back to their office, decided that it's not an emergency situation, but it needs to be dealt with. Since it's not an emergency situation, and both Melbourne and Pomona Lakes are at flood stage still, because they haven't, when we got the rain, the lakes weren't able to let anything out, basically, because the river was flooded. So now they're at a point where they need to discharge water. So the decision was made by the Corps of Engineers to go ahead and let the two lakes discharge the water they need to. It's going to take approximately 2 weeks to get both lakes back down to where they need to be. We will continually monitor the levee. That does not mean 24-hour operations on the levee at this point, but if we notice any more erosion or more of a concern at that area, we will contact the Corps of Engineers immediately and get them down here as fast as possible so that they can make another determination on that, so. That's kind of where we're at with that. The bright side to it is there is going to be, I have been told, there is going to be funding available from the Corps to fix that issue, so.
Michael?
Yes, sir.
The log jam that's there now, will we be doing a similar situation to clear that, or how?
Once the water level, that's a good question, actually. Once the water level comes back up, we'll go back to log jam removal operations.
Number 2.
Number 2, actually number 3.
The sequel, okay. Got it.
So hopefully when the water comes back, rises back up, some of that stuff will float back up and just get on out of here.
Other questions for Mr. Hafley? Okay, thank you for your update. On to city manager's report, a continuation? Do you have
That's
others? Okay. Next, we will hear report by city commissioners. We'll start with Commissioner Graves.
I don't have anything tonight.
Commissioner Skidmore?
I just was thinking, after I talked to John Cohen about what's going on here in town, and the opening of a Riverfront Diner, the new Freddy's, a new Price Chopper, and then we had 2 groundbreaking ceremonies, one for the hospital, one for Kalmar. And then I just think with things going on, things are moving in town, it's exciting to see this, and maybe we're on the precipice of some great things to come yet for this year, later this year, next year. But I think it's good to see all this activity going on, and just want to bring it to everybody's attention. It's great to be an Ottawan.
Commissioner Reed?
I don't think I have anything.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Nothing this evening.
That moves us on to report by mayor. I am actually going to begin by, I had asked our city manager to please give us an update on where we're at for bike lanes. If we're going to be talking about Let's Move, people are probably out on their bikes. And so if individuals may have questions about bike lanes here in the downtown corridor, what information do you have to share?
So here's where we're at. We have spent the last several months getting a survey of the street. Now, why would we get a survey of the street? Because where the street necessarily is isn't where the street necessarily is. So you need to have know where your curb lines are, so you can then make the calculations as to where the bike lane goes. So that's been done. Michael got those back. We've had those back a couple weeks. We need to take a look at those. And the next time we talk, when Michael comes back from annual training, we'll put that on a study session so you can look at the schematics, so you can see what it's actually going to look like and how we have it programmed out before he starts work on the street over there.
Excuse me, some of this new kid on the block here, where are you talking about?
We're talking Walnut from First, so that's why we're bringing it back to show you the pictures.
Okay. Thank you. So.
Then I'll bring them down.
Okay.
Is that the entirety?
That's it.
Thank you. I might also want to report that, I am very excited about all the new and fun things happening in our community. New doesn't necessarily mean better, it just means different, and that's okay. We are really in a good place, and I'm glad that Wendy brought up today when she was talking about the Let's Move, about the luncheons for the kids, and sometimes our neighborhood kiddos and all of our kiddos in our community. I know I've gone and served there before, and it's amazing how many kids come for lunch every single day. And so I would encourage you, if you don't know about the particular program that ECAN offers during the summer, give them a call and ask if you can give. Literally, it's 45 minutes of your time, max. I mean, I think I'm there for 30 minutes and helping to serve lunch to kids, and it really makes a huge difference, and it's an opportunity for you to maybe be the bright spot of their day. So I would encourage you to call ECAN and see about helping. I think it's from 12 to 12:30. I think it's all lunch is served from, yes.
And thank you for bringing it up, Commissioners. I had a email, could have been a directive, from former Mayor Richard Jackson, and I'll be sending you an email asking you to give me a couple of dates you're willing to commit to go to lunch to, and I'll also be circulating that to my staff so they can also go over during the summer and help be there for lunch also.
It could quite possibly be the best 30 minutes you can spend all week. So certainly would encourage individuals to do that. I also might want to announce that we have a retirement reception. Unfortunately, we are having one of our master police officers by the name of Tim Ahrens, who is retiring, and we have a reception that is that we're going to host at the Ottawa Law Enforcement Center, which is on 2nd Street, the one that I'm sure you've all driven by, on the 16th of June from 2 to 4. So we certainly invite the public to be a part of that and to come in and thank Officer Ahrens. He was also a really big presence in our schools for a number of years. Chief Butler, how many years was he at the school district by any chance? Do you happen to know? I'm going to come forward. Sorry, Chief.
He served as the school resource officer on 2 different occasions, once back in the 90s for about 4 or 5 years before I was here, and then again for the last 4 years he's been a school resource officer. Also, you mentioned, or the city manager mentioned, Mike Hafley's service in the National Guard. He and Mike Hafley served briefly together in the Army National Guard, so he's also provided that. And I wanted to also say, I'm serving lunch at ECAN tomorrow, so if anybody wants to join me, you're welcome to come along.
Well, thank you. And certainly we invite everyone to Officer Ahrens' reception on the 16th. Lastly, I want to thank Mr. Hafley and your entire staff for your service to our community over the holiday weekend. Many of us had the day off, but your staff did not. And so we appreciate that, and we know that, and whether our citizens realize it or not, that's a 24-hour operation, and that does mean that while we're sleeping, somebody's watching the levee. While we're awake, or while we're playing with our kids or our grandkids or playing a game, someone's watching the levee. While we're doing something, someone's watching it and making sure we're safe, and I appreciate you and your staff for doing so. So thank you, and please pass along my thanks to them for keeping us safe this Memorial Day.
I definitely will, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. That moves us on to announcements. We will have a study session on the 6th of June at 4 p.m., as we do every Monday at 4 p.m., and that is completely open to the public, and we'd love to see you there. We will have a commission leadership session, which is something new we're starting with the commission, beginning at 5 p.m., right after our study session on the 6th of June. On the 10th of June, we will have our annual city employee, retiree, volunteer picnic at 5 p.m. at Forest Park, and we invite those individuals who, maybe not only those that were working the 24 hours, but every city employee or someone who has given to the city in the past in a volunteer aspect or has retired from the city of Ottawa to join us. And then we will have the reception for Officer Ahrens on the 16th of June. Saying that, is there anything else that needs to come before the city today? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor, I move we adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thanks, Milton.